operasi boleh set yang tadi itu kan yang itu.
Apa Kak? Suaranya nggak jelas.
Eh, sama Brian tolongin yang jadi MC di Brian.
Oke.
Sama yang operation boleh, ya boleh masuk semuanya. Coba.
Recording in progress.
Hi guys. Hi, hi, hi. Hi, good morning everyone. Good morning. Please give your base emoticon. Like it can be on the reactions or can be on the chat. I want to see how much like you're really excited for our today's session. Wow, I please, before we proceed, I want to remind a little bit that our colleagues already said on the comment section on the Zoom. Please remind your username with format country underscore name. So we are now going to know where you come from. Please change your username with this format. Comment. Hey, good morning everyone from Pakistan. Wow. Wow. Okay, can I a little bit have conversation with you? What's your name? Uh, Shet. Hi,
My
Shet. How
name is
can I call you
Antonella
Shet?
Gutierrez.
Can you like?
You can
Oh, is there like someone that's speaking? Okay, Shet. Hi, Shet. Can you like on mic? So we want to like having a little bit conversation with you. Hi, Shet. Good morning. Hi. I think that
Hello,
it's still. Hi. Hi. What's your name?
my name is Zafran. You can call me Zafran.
Alvrand. Alvrand.
Yes, Zafran.
Wow. Hi. 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 Where you come from? From Pakistan?
Oh, I'm actually from Indonesia.
Oh. Oh, I thought it was Shad that was like speaking on this on mix. So yeah, thank you so much. Wow, wow.
No, it's
Maybe that I want to having a little bit conversation with some of you that are on cam. So I want to checking who's on cam right now. Wait, I want to check some of you. Oh, I'm seeing Balkis in here. Hi, Balkis. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Uh, I'm fine just because we are doing fasting right now, so I'm a little bit hungry.
Wow, 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 wow. But But you feel excited, right, for our today's session?
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much, Balkis. Well, hopefully that our today's session will be really helping you to navigate about SDGs. Okay, okay. So since that the limited of time, we're going to having like more wonderful discussion in this entire session. So hi friends. Yes. Welcome to INA Indonesia Community Forum 2026 with the theme Youth Leading for Sustainable Communities. I'm Brian Alexander, but you can call me Brian, and I'll be with you from start to finish today. And it's really great to see so much energy in here since like it's already like almost like over 100 people who are joining our Zoom. So like wow, I'm really blissful and honored to be your MC. Whether you're joining us on Zoom or watching on Una Indonesia YouTube Live. Ready for a day full of ideas, conversation, and inspirations? So, this forum is a space for us, a little bit about what is community forum, that we want to learn together about how data, research, and real life experience can be turned into our meaningful action with our respective field. We want your voices not just to be heard, guys, not just to be heard or listen, but to shaping the solution that actually works for our community. So please be active. So ask questions if you have questions, comment in the entire sessions, and share your best ideas in our sharing session. Oh, a little bit spill of it. So please just make sure that you are ready for this session. So before we begin, let's take a moment of silence to remember those affected by conflicts and humanitarian tragedies around the world. I will give you 30 to 60 minutes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now please stand briefly as we sing Indonesia Raya. The operator, the stage is yours. Hi. So before we proceed with it, let me read or I brief you guys about the safeguarding announcement for today's event. So the first of all, throughout this activity, the organizing committee would like to inform all attendees that photos, videos, and written documentation may be taken and used for communications and reporting purposes. Second is the organizing team reserves the right to take actions should any form of violence, harassment, or bullying, verbal or non-verbal, occur during the event. And last, if at any point you feel uncomfortable or need assistance, please contact our safeguarding focal point from the committee that you can see on our WhatsApp number, who is available throughout the session. We like to thank the partners who supported this event, representative from the World Federations of United Nations Association or WFUNA, GOTO, the Indonesia Ministry of National Development Planning, Town Hall Muda, Muda 30 consists with Pasar Sehat Trenggalek, Waysap and Citakara Indonesia, Trace Ranger Indonesia, Rising Girls, Zikan, and everyone else involved. Thank you, you're amazing, and it's like your guys too that are joining our today's session. Now, it's my pleasure to invite Kaalan, Secretary General of UNA Indonesia, to deliver the opening remarks. Kaalan, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Brian, for welcoming us into this amazing event today. Is my voice audible to all of you?
Yes,
Okay,
audible, sir.
that's great. So, welcome everyone to our event. So, good morning to all of you and also the participants that joining from across Indonesia. And I hear, or exactly, I saw that there are some participants that are coming from beyond Indonesia. So, welcome to the international citizens. On behalf of the United Nations Associations of Indonesia, it is my great honor to welcome you to UNA Indonesia's Community Forum 2026, that is Team Youth Leading for Sustainable Communities. One thing to remember, everyone, I hope that we all are gathering here, not merely as attendees of a forum, but also a catalyst of change. Yeah. We are united by a shared belief that sustainable development is not the responsibility of a few, it's not the responsibility for only the Western countries, it's not the responsibility of only Indonesians, but it is the collective duty of us all coming from different countries, especially the youth. Yeah. But first, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our distinguished speakers. Yeah, here we have also Mr. Yong J. Kim, Miss Gita Ditya Witono, Miss Anggi Pertiwi Putri, and Miss Surabe for be able to share their expertise, insights, and also experiences with us today. Yeah, I hope that after hearing from all the speakers, we all are inspired, motivated, but also willing to do something that maybe others are not willing to do. I would like to also appreciate the our collaborating partners, yeah, Town Hall Muda, Train Stranger, and Seeken for also their commitment and collaboration in making this forum possible. And also to the organizing committee and volunteers, thank you so much for your hard work. And also to all participants joining us online. Your willingness to engage and learn from us and also from the speakers are a sign that we are ready to lead the conversation on sustainability, climate actions, and also community empowerment. As an organization aligned with the values of the United Nations, we truly believe that achieving sustainable development goals requires inclusive leadership and also cross sector collaboration. Again, I would like to remind today's discussion is not the end goal. It is a beginning of stronger networks, concrete actions, and transformative impact within our communities across borders. Yeah. I hope that as the team says, yeah, youth leading in sustainable youth leading in sustainable communities are actually something that we could achieve as an output and also an outcome. So the long term and the short term impact of this event should be you be able to lead the communities around you, your own communities, across borders, across identities, and across issues. Let this forum be a space where ideas flourish, partnerships form, commitments strengthen, May we leave today not only inspired, but empowered. Okay? So thank you so much for being part of this movement. Thank you so much for coming to this event. I wish you all a fruitful and engaging discussion. Don't be shy to ask questions. Don't be shy to put your opinions on the chat box. Don't be shy to engage your peers into private conversations inside the Zoom chat. Yeah, we will have breakout room sessions, I presume. So it's a great chance for you to learn from others, especially those who are coming from outside Indonesia and from outside your current domicile. That is all from my side. Thank you so much. On behalf of the organization, I wish you best, and great discussion today. Thank you and good morning to us all.
Thank you, Kaalan. Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you so much for your really amazing opening remark. It was really nice to hearing from you. Maybe that before that, we're going to proceed for our first session. Yes. I will give you a little bit of quick technical notes. So, first of all, please mute your microphone during presentation. If you have any questions, use the Zoom Q&A feature. Closed caption available if needed, and the committee will document the event. If you're ready, type ready in the chat or give your best emoticon or like emojis on the reactions so I can know like how many people in here are ready to listening and hearing from our expert in this field of the SDGs and good participation. So I know we are on the same page, ready. So yeah, but I want to asking several people in here before we are going to proceed for maybe like expectation. Maybe can I listening to several of you? Since last time I already asking the Indonesian fellow, I want to sing that. Who's in here not from Indonesia? Let me see. Oh, almost all Indonesia. Wait. Or anyone who want to volunteer to giving their opinion what your guests expect, I need to choose. You are on cam, so like it's easier for me to choose. Okay, I want to listening from Farabi. Can you like on mic, Farabi?
Oh yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for Mr. Brian for giving me the floor to speak about my expectations after finishing this unique program. I need to make it clear because this is my first time joining any United Nations program, so I'm feeling extremely honored. And of course, my expectation is that I could empower community. Especially my local community because I've seen a lot of misleading informations that are spreading in my community that kind of hold them inward to push themselves to be the better person, especially when talking about mental health and how to make our attempts sustainable in the most possible way. Thank you so much, Mr. Brian.
Thank you. The most sustainable as many ways. So like it's really amazing to like listening. So like you're already in college or like still high school, Farabi?
I'm turning to my second semester. I'm in college.
Wow. So we just like 1 year apart. So yeah, thank you so much. Wow, really amazing. Thank you. I hope that you really enjoy our session for this morning. Yes. Wow. Maybe like another one. Well, in here I'm seeing. I will just picking. Who is it next? I'm seeing Jessica Patricia. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Morning. Yes. Oh my God. I'm so excited.
Wow. 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 How's you feeling, Jessica?
Well, what are my expectations for this session again?
Yes.
So what I'm expecting is I'm gaining an understanding of a cross-border cultural understanding, and then I want to see different perspectives, different key takeaways from people from diverse regions about certain topics. I'm excited to explore about youth resilience, and then like how to push economic growth and all of the topics that are gonna be bring into this session. I'm really excited for all of this. And I
Yay.
hope to also contribute to my communities, starting from the scale small scale communities to a bigger impact. Hopefully, after this session.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Hopefully that your expectation is something that you will be really get from this session because that I listening to your statement and you're saying about first of all like different perspective and how we bring those insights to our communities. It's really amazing to hearing from youth that want to bring back to your communities in respective fields. So thank you so much, Jessica.
Yes, thank you so much for having me as
Thank
well.
you. Maybe like last one. Whoa. I'm seeing maybe not the last person in here. I'm seeing well. Who's I want to choose? Um oh wait. I'm seeing there's oh I think this person. Oh, I'm seeing really interesting Fadli. Hi Fadli. Are you audible? I mean are you can like on mic? I guess it's kind of on mic, right? So maybe like another person. I'm seeing oh Winda Arika. Hi Winda. Hi.
Hello, good morning, Brian.
Morning. How are you, Winda?
Okay, I'm very amazing today. How about you?
I'm really feel so honored. I feel really blessed. I'm really feel so energetic. So yeah, back again the questions. What your expectation for today's session, Winda?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. My biggest expectation for joining this program is actually not about only learn, but also now I'm a build a community that helping to solving problem in my area. So that's why I need to learn and also I would like to bring what I learned and also bring the impact to my community and for solving the basics problem itself and also I would like to how the Indonesia is see you can design sustainable solutions and also I hear it not only from Indonesia right in this forum but also other countries so that's why I would like to gain insights from diverse global perspective also. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Winda. Like so to wrap all our participant expectation. First of all, we have the expectation about that are still concerned with our environment, our problems, but in here we want to learning not just from a local grassroots perspective, but with a lot of youth from different country with their perspective. So it's really amazing. So because of the constraint of the time, I know that I cannot like ask everyone in here. It will be like 3 hours, of course. There's like 100 more people in here. So next up, we're going to really continue to our really amazing the first session. So the first session it will be international talk show. And our moderator will guide a discussion with panelists from diplomacy, the private sectors, and national planning. So it's not just one sector, but we have three sectors in one moment. So it will be super substances. And please welcome Amare Mayhart Ono, or we call her Amare, a social welfare student at Universitas Indonesia and founder of Overcome Cycle and In and Talk platforms where young people gather to discuss, reflect, and grow together. Amare will lead the session. Amare, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our MC for the warm introduction. Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Amari Mehat Ono, and I will be guiding us through this international talk show at UNA Indonesia's Community Forum 2026. Oh, next. Okay, so today we are joined by three amazing panelists who bring perspective from diplomacy, corporate, and government. We have Mr. Yong Jae Kim, World Federation United Nations Association or WFUNA Chief Regional Coordinator for Asia Pacific. For Mr. Yong Jae, you can introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Yoongjae Kim. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Thank you, Amare, for introduction. Yeah. Currently, I'm working as a director of UFUNA, World Federation of UN Association, Asia Pacific Office. And also I'm a professor at Hanyang University in Korea. I spent more than 15 years working in international organizations between intergovernmental organization between China, Japan, Korea, and also now for the World Federation of UN Associations. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Youngjae. Now, let's move to Miss Gita Ditya Witono, a growth marketing and operation professional. Miss Gita, you can introduce yourself now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So thank you, friends, for having me here. My name is Gita Ditya Witono. You can call me Gita. I'm currently work in one of the ride-hailing company in Indonesia, Gojek. But previously, I have 12 years experience working in energy industry, and then I also have experience working in the O2O industry, Mitra Bukalapak, where the product is basically encouraging the mom and pops shop owner to sell virtual products. So I believe with my experience across industry, I can share you guys how the corporate across industry show interest in the ESG topics, and how we can give another point of view for the youth here, so that you can get a better point of view on how you can grow your community and align with how corporate see the opportunity on the collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Gita, for your warm introduction and nice to meet you. So let's move to Miss Anggi Pertiwi Putri, planner for Directorate of Environment at Indonesia Ministry of National Development Planning. Miss Anggi?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anggi Pertiwi Putri, but when it's an international forum, I used to call myself Angie. So it's your preparation to call me. I'm currently serving as a civil servant in the Environment Directorate in Ministry of National Planning and Development. So for you guys from outside Indonesia, yes, Indonesia still have a specific ministry that handles the macro planning of the government. I'm currently handling more on the green economy, climate change, and biodiversity. We also touch upon circular economy and pollution. Looking forward for the discussion today.
Okay, so this talk show is meant to set the stage for our For You, building a shared foundation on how youth can lead sustainable communities. So let's start by reflecting on your journeys and experiences. Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourself. So, first, for all of you, looking back at your professional journey, how have your past experiences shaped the way you see the evolving role of youth in sustainable development? And in today's world, marked by climate crisis, inequality, and geopolitical instability, why is youth leadership is so essential in bridging community level initiative with national priorities and international frameworks. Now, let's start with Mr. Youngjae. You can answer the first question.
So Amara, how much time can I use for answering this question? Maybe 3 or 5 minutes will be enough.
Yeah, I think that will be enough.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for the very important focused question. So, from my perspective, based on my experience, I believe we need to take care of two things because when I started my journey in international, cooperation, I was more focused on Korean Peninsula because as you know about Korea, we are divided into two countries and we had a huge war like 70 years ago. So I was thinking like peace between the two Koreas is necessary to make a better future. But later on, I found that it's not just the kind of agenda between two countries, but the neighboring countries as a regional affairs. It's very important to cooperate together and make a answers, agendas together to solve. So that was the starting point. I moved to work with intergovernmental organization between China, Japan, and Korea. But after spending 6 years there, I found that the neighboring countries, they cannot, make a huge change because these days climate change and world economy and everything is not just for the small regional affairs. We need to cooperate together with, um, faraway countries and other countries in different continents, and as a planet citizen, we need to cooperate together. So that's the reason why I moved to work for the World Federation of UN Associations and working for sustainable development goals. So I wish to say, deliver my word to, future leaders here that it is very important to, set up your kind of final, destination and goal for the, bigger thing. Because of course, our kind of small but important things in our community is most important thing. But some of the things cannot be solved inside community or inside one country. So we need to, look into further and, wider range of the affairs. And at the same time, these days, I always worry about your generation or your next generation, your child, can be the last generation of mankind. Because if we cannot make any change, huge change, I believe, this planet would not be permanent. To be existed. Like a sustainable future is not possible. So yes, in short, I would like to ask all of your, cooperation and participation for the bigger, coexistence, targeting, uh, you know, missions together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yongjae, for your valuable insights. Now, let's move to Miss Kita.
Okay. From the professional corporate perspective, what we realize is the shifting attitude of youth from 12, 20 years ago to now. Based on the research is already proven. Youth behavior toward any sustainable issue, be it
I'm sorry, Miss Kita. I think your connection is slightly unstable.
more so meaning
Okay.
is it better now?
Yes, yes, yes. Would you repeat the answer? Sorry, Miss Kita.
Sure. No worries, no worries. So, in terms of the corporate, we see that the behavior of youth towards the environmental issue shift significantly, meaning that your generation show a behavior that is more interest. You show more openness toward environmental issue, not only environmental issue, but any sustainability related politics, climate change. This open-minded attitude actually helps the organization to be able to respond all of this issue faster and better. So it is a positive way to see the youth that having more concern because this attitude makes all of the environmental or sustainability agenda that need to be delivered by the corporate not only as an extra work or just tick the box list. We see that the youth in our company at least they show a really high quality work. So they're not only doing it because the bosses say so, but they also believe in the cause. In the other point of view, youth is also our future consumers, I would say. So meaning that with this shift of changes, we see that the how the youth showing their opinion about this issue, it become one of our important insight and stakeholder. So how you say your thought in the social media is actually captured, and it actually could influence the company to shift their direction, to shift their marketing strategy to be more adaptive to the sustainability challenge. So yes, what I feel, it is really positive to see how youth play a role in your own space, in your community, and you be able to maximize your channels through community, through social media, and actually you able to help the corporate to move to a better direction when it comes to the sustainability development topics or corridor.
Thank you, Ms. Gita, for your perspective. So let's move to Miss Angie.
Okay, thank you, Amare. So I think the question is about why is youth leadership is essential, right, for national priorities and international frameworks. So I guess from my experience in the government, I think most of you guys who are from Indonesia might know that the government tend to work in the bureaucracy level, where sometimes even the civil servant as a youth like me in the government is very hard to raise opinions and stuff. That's one thing that I want to share that it's fortunately it's not happening in my ministry because Bapana's approach is more egalitarian compared to other ministry. But sometimes you can see that there's also some hardship from my friends that is giving their opinion to their leader or to the director for even such a small approach in their career. But I also thought that earlier in my career that youth engagement sometimes can be misinterpreted something like a side event or only just advocacy space. But it's only a checklist. But I really see there's a lot of like transformation, I think, along this, I think since 2020. So I've been joining the government since early 2017. So since 2020, there's a lot of more engagement on the youth side during the policy making, where we see that the youth is not only in a sense but Gita said that youth is a consumer, but maybe in the government perspective, youth is not just as a consumer, but also an agent of change, especially in the environmental sector, like me, where environment is a very emerging issue, both in national and also global. There's a lot of needs of like innovation and stuff. So the assist from the youth to be the agent of change by supporting the public policy and advocacy is very, very center of the transition itself. Because you guys know there's no such thing of a political thing because public policy involve a lot of generation, including the youth. And we saw a lot of like examples both from the global, you see like Greta, you see Boyan who invented the ocean plastic solution. And when you see some negotiation both in the climate and the biodiversity fora, there's a lot of youth involvement and youth sitting on the table asking and demanding of their voices and what should be taken by all the parties in the room. So it's very essential, their voice. And why is it very critical for a government and a national authority to hear the youth voice? Once again, because youth have a lot of innovation, and it's very hard for the government to, to plan a very macro planning, but we don't know what's happening in, in the grassroots. And youth tends to bring, the best practice, the local innovation from the grassroots, and we can see that, and we replicate or scale up those innovation in a sense. We also see that there's a lot of driving the systemic change. There's a lot of like startups and CEO motored by the youth that is becoming more successful and more meaningful impact to the national development. And we are right now is currently seeing a lot of youth organization asking audience to the government to showcase their best practices, which is this is a very nice phenomenon because they are very open to us and are very open to collaborate. Yeah, I guess that's my intake, Amare.
Thank you so much, Miss Angi, for sharing your valuable perspective. And now we have already heard the perspective about youth from three sectors that youth are not just consumer, not tokenism, and not just goods, but also as the agent of change and decision maker for the future. So now let's hear from each of you based on sectoral expertise. For Mr. Yongjae, from a multilateral diplomacy perspective, how can WFUNA support youth in integrating grassroots initiatives into international frameworks like the SDGs while still safeguarding local relevance and innovation? Sorry, Mr. Yongjae, you haven't unmuted your mic.
Okay, thank you, Amari, for the question, and thank you, Gita and Anji, for your answers. Actually, also made me to think about wider range of ideas, and it was also very beneficial for me to hear your voices. Thank you. So, basically, FUNA, which marking 80 years anniversary this year, we established in 1946, right after when United Nations established in 1945. So during last 80 years, we have been actively supporting what United Nations are targeting and the mandates of United Nations, namely peace, human rights, and now sustainable development. However, as you know, as you all witness the current situation, the permanent Security Council member invading other UN member states, and United States, they are cutting off the contribution to United Nations. Whole international system now experiencing the turbulence. So we are feeling like we are in very important moments of different states for our future. Of course, what we have been targeting for youth and making more opportunities for youth, we continuously set up different goals and contributed. We even included many youth agendas inside the 17 SDGs goals. And also we declared like a youth declaration, a future generation declaration in 2024 UN plenary session. So based on those basic, consensus by the 193 UN member states, United Nations and World Federation of UN Associations, we are all starting to put more resources to making more opportunities for youth and like future generations. But I need to say that this timing is not very like lucky timing for younger generations. You got less opportunities compared with the previous generations. You got less, positions and funding for the international corporations. Many countries, they are now reducing their contribution to international society, and also, the supports to different countries, developing countries. They are now having more competition, and things are going in a very tough, situation. Um, so in that sense, I would not just say like positive words and if you work hard, everything will be better in the future. I would not say like that. But I would like to say like you better not to just expect dispensation and gift from outside. But if you have a very concrete and strong will to make better future for your society, your community, and your country, or further going on, you can make a better region, like Southeast Asia, East Asia, global society. And then I think your will and your ideas can make some change. And for that end, UFNA is keep making different global programs, like training programs and camp programs and even some conference programs inviting younger generations as a representative and speaker uh, to share those innovative ideas. So I would like to ask the participants today to you better try to design. It's very important to make your ideas into very concrete design. And you can design innovative and ambitious solutions and actively raise it. Uh, Even in United Nations, we set partnership as one of the 17 goals, like SDG number 17. In number 17, we are actually focusing on making public and private partnerships. These days, even international organization and government, they don't have enough resources to support or, encourage all the different ideas. But private sectors, they are having more contributions for like a public and international, ideas and agendas, which make entrepreneur innovations. So you can also try to imagine designing those innovative solutions, making some international partnerships, connecting private and public sectors, domestic and global sectors together. So those connections, communications, which can make a mutual interest, would be one of the opportunities you can make some change. And of course, sometimes I feel like some students are saying, this is important, this is good for people, so you should support. But these days, government, international organizations will not answer for those kind of one-way requests. You should persuade the counterpart that it is like for mutual interest, both for public sector, private sector, government, people, and global society. So that can be one advice I can give you. And for that, every year, UFNA is organizing Urban Innovation Challenge program, which is like an impact startup competition for Asia Pacific regional, startups. So we call this program a citipreneurs, city plus entrepreneurs. So citipreneurs. So every year we are like getting more than 100 applications from different countries. And every year we are actually get around 20 to 25 startups from all over East Asia. And we are giving some supports to give them some, opportunity to share their ideas and getting some investments. So if you have a good solutions and development for those startup entrepreneurship concept, I would also like to advise you can apply for our Citypreneurs program. So for further information, you can search it from citypreneurs.org. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Youngji, for sharing such a valuable insight and perspective of yours. And also for Miss Gita, from the corporate standpoint, How can the private sector expand collaboration with youth, especially by leveraging innovation to tackle complex global challenges, while also creating tangible impact within communities?
I believe all industries, mostly they already acknowledge the importance of youth. So many corporate usually have their open collaboration programs that involve youth during their corporate agenda or corporate journey, especially with the latest trend on the digital channels. Now youth have more opportunity to voice out their opinion or their concern. So I think what is important for the private sector is they need to keep up on the game actually. If you notice, for example, TikTok, we never thought 10 years ago TikTok will be the source of information that youth is using. 10 years ago we thought it's Google, but now it becomes TikTok. And now most of the corporate actually catching the sentiment from youth towards their campaign, towards their product, towards their programs from social media. But this fast changing of trend is something that we cannot predict, to be honest, based on my experience. So it is important for every corporate to really keep up their game, to step up their game on catching this type of insight from the youth, so that the corporate able to catch the latest trend from the youth, not only the lifestyle trend that may be important for the insight of their product, but also the concern. Because I think now every aspect of product have this social sensitivity concern. For example, we're talking about red hailing. Back then, people only thought, oh, I need to get the cheapest price. But actually, when we do the research to the younger generation, when they say, when we ask, is it price is important for you? Yeah, well, price is good, but I wonder how the driver could live if I only paid that little amount of money. And that type of insight, we only get it from the younger generation instead of the older one. Or back then, when I was in the different industry, we are selling a lubricant product. Actually, the younger generation have this environmental related issue. If this is an oil used for my vehicle, and if you dump it just right away, how it will impact the neighborhood of your gas station, for example. This type of concern and voices usually not coming just there on the table of the marketer of the market research. Usually it's spread around the communication channel in digital. So that's how the company, the private sector need to keep up their game on catching that insight as a secondary data when they do any new program, new campaign, new product development. And then another thing is, I think now more corporate have a better program to accommodate younger generation take a more decision making senior position. Back then, in the traditional company, when you want to be a decision maker, there are several steps, there are several hierarchy that you need to follow. But now most of the traditional corporate already start to opening their method on how the young generation could be able to make the decision, join the decision making process. And that's where I would say the youth actually, if I mean I understand that this youth here in this forum mostly have their your own community, but I also believe most of you also have another role, for example maybe in your environment, in your RT RW in Indonesia, for example, or maybe in your if you're working in a corporate. I think if the company provide a certain way to for the younger generation to make a decision maker, that's also a proof that how a company willing to open the way for you to be part of the decision making system. Another thing is what I believe that the company from the corporate standpoint should really keep up their game is also to invest more on the social listening, and also to invest more on the ESG department. I think not every company have the same belief on the importance of the ESG. It's really diverse, depend on the industry. I mean, if you are in the energy industry, if you are in the transportation industry, the ESG issue is come closer to the corporate compared to, for example, if you are in the virtual product or an in telco industry selling mobile data. So that's where the younger generation that could climb up the leader or the ladder of leadership in the private sector could also be contributing by pointing out that the ESG POV is also important for the sustainable corporate mission and economic strategy, I would say. And I think to conclude it, Amora, in my view, is for the corporate standpoint, basically collaboration with youth is already become a common agreement across industry. It is important. It's about the strategy of each corporate to really keep up their game to catching up with the youth trends both in communication and lifestyle so they can catch up together and grow together. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Gita, for sharing such a valuable insights, yeah, about youth in corporate sector. So let's move to Miss Anggi. From the national perspective of national planning, how can government institution embed youth participation into policy processes so that it becomes substantive rather than just symbolic, ensuring community voices are represented alongside national and global agendas?
Thank you, Amare. A very tricky question. Um, in a sense, in my personal point of view, there's a lot of homework about this participation. Uh, Frankly speaking, yeah, a lot of homework for the government to have a meaningful participation among all the related stakeholders. So not only about youth, but maybe representative from the disabilities, the local communities, and etc. We did a few efforts. I think maybe still not enough in your guys' perspective to have your voice trying to be embedded in all the policy planning and stuff. Uh, there's a few initiatives that has been done by Bapanas and also line ministries. For instance, we did a lot of like engagement and outreach on campuses. So talking about the environmental issue or green economy, like I said, it's always a interesting topic and emerging topics among a lot of stakeholders. So we did a lot of goes to campus agenda, hopefully to get your voices and inputs. And then we did also a lot of like youth competitions and innovation platforms, collaboration with UN Page, if Pak Yongje know. So we did a like an ideathon on like making innovation an innovative solution for like emerging issue like food loss and waste and stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity to get your idea and to have it implement in the policy aspect. And in the formalized setting, there's always a policy dialogue and youth engagement in Avora called in Bapenas. It's called like Musrembangnas. So every time there's like new planning documents coming out, there's gonna be like a consultation forum that involve a lot of stakeholders. Of course, you will have a follow-up question: is that really meaningful participation? And I guess that's homework that we need to have a solution in this um, discussion also. One also interesting example is just this year the government of Indonesia submitted like the national report for biodiversity to the UNCBD, and that report also have a prominent youth stakeholder because in Indonesia we have you guys can Google this GBYN, so Global Biodiversity Youth Network Indonesian chapter. So the GBYN represented the youth for the biodiversity and is like a quote unquote permanent member in the national report. formulation, and their voice was like embedded in all the report. How the youth contribution also contributes to the Indonesia biodiversity management, and of course, and then to the global commitment itself. So there's a lot of example, but I guess the key thing is it's I think it's still not enough to really captures all the best practice and innovation that you guys have in a more grounded level. But maybe in the moving forward, I can also give a few tips that how with this existing happening initiative, how the youth can, in a sense, approach the government or approach the policymakers to have the voice more embedded. My first tips is maybe you guys can group in one community. Sometimes it's a very, it's very strategic to have a community that have the one voice. So maybe every time the government um, introduce a new policy and you thought that there's something wrong with it, you can make a policy paper or like an article that gives the view with, of course, evidence-based data and give your proposition to the government. And that's always nice to have it in one community instead of like, personal approach. The second one is please find your champion in the government because like we are very approachable. There's also youth here because like in Indonesia itself, I think from 2023 data, it's like 63 millions of youth here. So this of course in the government also. So find your champion that can be approachable in a sense when you really want to advocate some policy to the government. And my last tips is, of course, how you say matters. So please, when you want to raise a voice, study it well, and then like ensure it's using a valid data. Have a peer group review or something to ensure that you're really using your voice wisely. Yeah, that's all from my side, Amare.
Thank you, Ms. Angie, for giving such a valuable knowledge. So, before we wrap up, I'd like to invite all of you to reflect together that we've seen a clear common thread. Youth collaboration is no longer optional, it is essential from multilateral diplomacy and corporate innovation to national development planning. Young people are increasingly recognized as key drivers of change. So, now for the closing questions. What core competency that should youth leaders prioritize to create sustainable impact at community level while also contributing positively in national and global decision-making spaces? Now, maybe let's start with Mr. Youngjae for the answer.
Okay. I would like to share three things for my closing remarks. So, you know, we always say like future generation is important. Youth is very, young people, you have more opportunities. You need to, do your best, working hard, study hard. And, young people always, believe we are forever young. But, or our parents, grandparents, even for myself, we were young, but it's not forever. So, of course, these days, we cannot, easily, define that until when we are young. Like, these days, even the 40s, 50s, they are believing they are still young. So, what I want to say is that the age itself is not everything. And if we are saying like a youth have a kind of innovative energy and power to change something, then you should be stay motivated. If you are not staying motivated and just agree on the status quo and just doing what you can do, then I believe even though you are age is young, but you are not still young. So please be stay motivated for changing your own future, your community's future, and your country's future, and even for our planet's future. So that is the first thing I would like to share with all of you. And the second thing is it's always difficult to stay in motivated. And the always, the reality is tough. And if we started with, strong will, you guys will experience like a tough reality, like, urging you to give up and, just, agree to, what have been ordered. It's not only for business, not only for government, not only for international organizations. So to do that, I think you need to have endurance for your dream, and also you need some friends, like the friends here participating together, who have a similar will and similar view for the better future. So communicate with them together, and believe yourself to make further change. And last thing is that uh, the dream, the dream which you can only understood by yourself is useless. Your dream should be easy and straightforward and can be understood by other people. So I always say to my students that you should try to tell your dream to your own mom, your mother. If you can make success to persuade your mother, or make your mom understood, is like a starting point of everything. If you can not make your mom understood on your dream, you cannot succeed on uh, the dream. It's like a joke, but actually it's very difficult mission. You know. So, yes, please try your best. And as I mentioned before, FUNA is open to many different ideas and opportunities. So we will keep trying to make some new programs, especially for Southeast Asia, because I'm in charge of Asia Pacific region. And we are based on Seoul, but we are keep making new programs in Bangkok and Singapore. So last year, I visited Jakarta to meet UNA Indonesia and different our colleagues in UN agencies there. So I would like to keep connected with public institutions there. And NG, I think we can also later keep trying to make some more opportunities for young people in Indonesia. So yes, let's stay in motivated to make better future together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Youngjae, for sharing such a valuable insights for youth. And now let's move to Miss Gita.
I think there are two core competency that I believe will be really important. First is critical thinking. In this current time where young generation could get a lot of every information from every channel, critical thinking will be really critical, because I think as a youth you need to really have a strong value to select which information that is relevant, which is true, which is not, which is information that is not part of conspiration. There are a lot of things that you need to digest. So the critical thinking method, the critical thinking approach is something that you need to train. It's not something that you can master in a night. It's based on how many problem you facing, how many people you need to talk to. So you need to keep on moving to get that critical thinking sense sharpening. In the corporate industry, when you have this ASG ideas in your hand, it's not as easy as it's said to make it happen. ESG in the corporate is a marathon game. It's not a sprint. What I noticed from this young generation is you want something instant. If you do something, you want something to be claimed as fast as you can, because you want it to be um, nothing personal, but this is my observation. I feel that now the young generation, if you do something, you want to share it out loud to the world. So if you do some event this month, you want something to be shared in your social media next month or the next 2 months or the next 3 months. You need something instant. But I just feel that the ASG agenda, especially if in your corporate, it's a marathon game. You need to have this critical thinking to understand your important stakeholder, what stakeholder benefit can be get from your ideas. So it's really a marathon game, and you need to have endurance, as Miss Youngjae said too, and keep motivated because it's a really long game. And if you have a good critical thinking, you will be able to have a sharp analysis on who should be the right person you need to talk to, who should be the friends that you need to talk to be able for you to get help so that your aspiration could be heard. And second is actually patience. It's not a rocket science, but I just feel that this young generation not like really have this patience on explaining things, patience on facing difficult situation. ESG is not it's not an easy topic for everyone. So if you really believe in the value, if you really believe on what your aspiration is, passion is another thing that you need to mastering in order for you to be able to say it clearly to your stakeholder so that your communication, your voice can be heard clearly and can be understood clearly by your important stakeholder. I think that's for me. Thank you, Amare.
Thank you, Miss Gita. I do really agree with you with the patience part. Yeah, so many youth are having a problem with that. So, next move to Miss Anggi.
Okay, thank you also for Ryongjae. I want to echo his statement because I'm now in a youth threshold by UN category. So ending my youth season. But I guess the spirit is always feeling young, yeah, and motivated young, yeah. So from my side, I guess the from what I experienced working in the government, the three competence or skills that might be useful to tackle all this messiness of the world is the first one is system thinking. So adding Bagita statement about critical thinking to also add a lens of system thinking. This is very crucial because sometimes as a youth we have like a specific sectoral approach. So you graduate from the environment and then your focus is only on the environment, but you forgot there's like social aspect and economic aspect on it, on every dimension of development. So for instance, talking about the climate change was never an environmental issue. It's a development issue. When we talk about the climate target, it embodies like the economic target. How do we want our growth to be? How is the emission from like the energy sector, the industry sector that's involved in the climate target? How about the social inclusion, the vulnerability of people? So it's always crucial to have the system thinking approach in every every aspect that you're encountering in all of the the aspect that you're gonna come in the future. The second one, I guess, to always have a strong evidence-based communication. This is always crucial, and of course emphasizing on the communication even from the government side. I guess you know that we are really lacking and have a lot of homework, yeah, on public communication. But I hope for the youth and the younger generation, you can enhance this skill. Of course, showing a robust data, study first before you share your voice. And don't forget, you can always collaborate if you don't have the data, because we always promote pentahelix collaboration. You have the academics and universities, so to boost your confidence in talking, and it's always nice to talk with the right resource person first. The third one, I guess, in my experience, is always have the skills to collaborate and coalition building, because frankly speaking, the world is not black and white, guys. So it's always gray and maybe colorful, but in a sense, you cannot see what's right and wrong in in a very clear manner, because sometimes we need to find a win-win solution in one aspect. So to have the skill to always collaborate and, have a sense that not pushing forward only your voice, but also to hear other voice is always relevant to move forward on this agenda. That's from my side, Amare.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anggi, for adding the perspective. So we are all can conclude that from Mr. Yongje to Miss Kita and Miss Anggi that what needs to have by youth is the motivation, endurance, patience, critical thinking, and even collaboration and coalition skills. Okay, so now let's move to the open the floor to questions from our participants. Please raise your hand and we'll make sure your voice is heard. Let's keep our questions concise so we can hear from as many as you as possible. Maybe operations, can you help me with choosing the participant question? Oh, and those from YouTube can also ask questions. Yeah. Okay, maybe I would choose like Mr. Zafran.
Yes, may I speak?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, my video is a bit weird. So apparently, my shirt is part of the background for some reason. I have no idea how to fix that. So I very much apologize. And I actually have just one question. And personally, I would like to be a leader in an organization or in my community. And I would like to ask, what sort of qualities and skills does a leader need to have in order for me to become an efficient and responsible leader? Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with Mr. Yongji to answer.
Uh, leader should be like a Superman in all sense. He or she should, have all different, capability and ability. But if you ask like one thing, like foremost, I believe like fundraising is most important in these days because more and more like community leaders for public good, they have a difficulty getting enough resources to make something happen. So even though they have vision or leadership, everything, but if he or she don't have like capability or ability to, fundraise, getting the resources from outside, or like even though they will like make inside like gathering some like money together inside the community, that also needs some ability to make a fundraising. So I think how to make enough resources for your kind of term and mission, it's very important ability which leaders should have. So you should study kind of case studies of other leaders, or you can also learn from other like NPOs how they are working. So that can be one good starting point to be a good leader, I think.
Thank you for added perspective, Mr. Youngjae. Now let's move to Miss Kita.
I believe different problem statement or um, different team needs different type of leadership. So my advice to you, Zafra, is first thing first is really to have a good empathy towards your customer. Your customer here could be depend if I mean like your community leader, your customer could be your organization member, could be the community that you are serving, could be the stakeholder that involved in your community day to day. You need to have a good empathy to them, and after that you do the analytical, and then that's where you can find what type of leadership needed from you. Because if you are in really tough situation where your stakeholder is really sharp, really how to say it, really bold, you cannot be this, the type B leaders. You need to be the assert one, the one that really hold the stick. But if you are in the more soft environment, that you know that your stakeholder is more softened, you cannot be the type A one. So the skill of understanding the empathy could be like a really good foundation for you then to define what type of leadership that is fit to your condition. Actually, I have one book that really inspired me during my journey when I just starting my leadership role. The title is The Leader It Lasts from Simon Sinek. In that book, there are several use cases where there are various type of leaders. So I can type the book title for you. That's one book that I recommend for you to write so that you can also get inspiration for understanding the variation of dynamic when you become leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Gita, for the perspective. Now, let's move to Miss Anggi.
Yeah, thank you, Zafra, for the question. It's very also tricky because I feel like right now I'm in the, in the medium level where I have a few staff, but I also report to my director. So in that case, in that part of the leader, it's always tricky to be a good bridge of like, collecting the voice of my team, but also, bringing up to my boss expectation. And I guess that's also one skill that you might need to have, to bridge if you're the leaders of the community, then how you embodied their voice to be echoed to the world or to the stakeholders. That's also a key skill to ensure that yeah, it is bringing the right voice. But I agree with Mbak Gita. Preposition is about empathy because I feel like there's a lot of leaders right now act lack of empathy, but in a sense we have to differentiate leader and boss, right? Because we want to be a leader that nurture our team but not only bossing around. Adding to that, I guess because you're the leader, you have a sense, a good vision and strategic thinking. And that's something, of course, that cannot happen overnight, and you need to really polish it a daily basis to. So you need to really know what is this organization going to go because you're the one holding the steer on the boat. So to have the vision is very crucial for you. And I guess the last one is about integrity. I guess it's very crucial for a leader to have the integrity as a whole to, build honesty to your team and also to the stakeholder that you're working with, and also accountability and, ethical decision making is also crucial, I think, in this world. That's all from my side, Amare.
Thank you so much for your perspective, Miss Angie. Now, there's a question from someone in YouTube Live from Charles. What strategies should governments prioritize to improve education access through cross-border collaboration, and how can these efforts enhance public trust in both sides of institutions? So maybe this specific question is for Miss Angie.
Okay, I guess it's a bit beyond my jurisdiction because I'm currently in the environment directorate, so not really handling the education aspect. But maybe if I can speak on just my personal perspective is uh obviously to ensure that the quality of education is accessible to all. So in a sense of the what is it, the facilities, the quality of like education, like teacher curricula is accessible to every part of Indonesia is crucial. We're going there hopefully, but still, I think also from yeah, I'm in an environment, so no place to judge. But I feel like there's still a lot of homework when we talk about certain parts or certain area in Indonesia. There's always still a paradigm that the good or the better education is still in cities, which is this is I think something that we need to rethinking about, because I feel like uh, good and a high quality education should be accessible to all. So it doesn't matter where you are, like in rural place or so, is they need to also have a good accessible to the education itself. Um, yeah, I think that's my intake. Sorry.
Thank you for sharing your perspective, Miss Angie. Now, let's hear questions from Jessica.
Okay, thank you so much for the insights from Mr. Yongjae and then Miss Gita and also Miss Angie. I really appreciate all of that. So I do have a few questions from our session today. So I'm also in a journey of building an organization myself, and I face some challenges that so many young people are facing psychological barriers such as having low self confidence and then the feeling of being undereducated or having a social anxiety. So and then advocacy alone is not gonna address these internal challenges. So how do you think can youth organizations build long-term confidence and leadership capacity among members who struggle with these barriers? And also, I would like to point out that some ideas that are set by Mr. Youngjae, I think that boot camps and then leadership programs are truly valuable and is good, I think, but they often fail to reach rural areas due to limited funding and then access barriers. Some people from the rural areas might also face the fact that they don't have access to these activities. So how do we as youth um, ensure that all of them from the rural areas can get the same opportunities as we do? And then also, how can the governments address the growing perceptions among young people that the fact that their talents and ideas are not being valued or heard domestically? Because sometimes a lot of young people have talents, but they don't feel valued in their own country, so they seek for opportunities abroad. So how do you guys will have strategic planning for this from the government to address this issue? I'm so sorry if the questions are a lot, but thank you. This is so insightful.
Thank you, Jessica, for your question. So, who wants to answer first?
Maybe I can try answering the bit of the social anxiety in the younger generation. Yeah. Um, I understand that this is something that it's a generational, meaning that this type of challenge doesn't happen in my generation or in my previous generation. So right now, actually, I just feel that none of us have a clue what is actually the good way to really overcome it. But what I usually do to my team is just to don't be afraid. I think the social anxiety coming because you are afraid of what people think of you, and that kind of afraid is because you do not have a really value what really feel dear to you, what things that define you as a person. So it really need to come back again to you as a person. What actually, who are you? What is the value that define you? And then by the time you have that value, then just stick to it and stick to the people that also have that value of it, and stay away from social media. At some extent, that's something that I thought to myself like, why do you have too many accounts? Just stick to one account and stick to that as one of your identity. Not need your second account, third account, whatever account, because you create a problem for your own self. You make a confusion for your own self. If you have one account, that is what is your identity. I think you be able to slowly, you know, detaching to whatever it is, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that you think already able to overcome it, and just acknowledge that is a hardship that you need to be done to overcome it. So it's more on really, sometimes I just feel the VOC parenting is needed so that, because that is hard, life is hard. Sometimes the only things for you to solve it is hardship, and yeah, that's what make human is, because we need to fight for whatever dear to us. So that's my sharing, Jessica. Hope that helps.
Yeah, it really helps. Thank you so much. It makes me gain an understanding that we need to find the true passion that defines us, and then stay away from social media that doesn't matter, and then also find communities that have the same passion as you, and it's able to maintain consistency. Thank you so much.
Okay, so now who wants to continue answering the question?
I guess I can go, Amare, Youngjae, if you don't mind. So Jessica, I feel you. I feel like the world, Indonesia or the world in Indonesian terms, dunia lagi nggak baik-baik aja. So, in a sense, maybe the Gen Z is like bearing all of this, but as a millennials, I'm also having trouble. And I guess maybe this is also the factors of like, the emerging of social media and AI that we get a lot of access of information, but we get very overwhelmed of the information itself. So I guess to have the controlled information is very crucial, not really blocking all the social media, but make it very selective on what you read and what you trust is very crucial because I feel like for my personal experience, I try to like, deactivate and then fasting of the social media for a bit, but then I come back in a sense. So, but I guess it's very crucial who you follow in all those social media to be not overwhelming. And then in a sense of the the anxiety, even me as a civil servant got that anxiety. So I guess it's very normal as a human being. I guess the first one is to acknowledge this anxiety and shift that fear to a more collective efficacy, because I know it's not really in the right terms to have the movement through anger or like fear, because for someone in the environment sector, sometimes we open the slide with like triple planetary crisis and there's a lot of like disaster in Indonesia. My heart doesn't really want to put that, because I really want the green transition is something that is being done not over fear or like uh fear mongering. So but in a sense maybe we can utilize in your case this anxiety and fear to a more productive manner, because you know that this is a problem and like you want to tackle this, but how you tackle it is going to be very crucial. The second one is about your question on the strategic planning for youth itself. I guess we tried a lot to have a lot of policy on boards when we talk about green jobs. Maybe you should also read a lot of documents about the green job roadmaps that the government of Indonesia have published in, I think, 2024 or 5. So it's also nice that how we try to embrace that the world and the Indonesia itself is shifting towards a more greener economy. And for that, we understand there's going to be a job loss, but there's also a lot of new other jobs that's going to be coming up from that transition. But the government needs to be there to enable the smooth transition, right? And that green jobs is not only like preparing you guys as youth and like as college students, but also for the for the university itself to have a more robust curricula on green transition, and of course the industrial aspect to have the more prepare to for you guys to be in place. Um, and hopefully with that concrete roadmap, it will minimize the thinking of people going abroad, because there's a lot of like more opportunity abroad. That's me as a government perspective talking. But me personally, I feel like you can contribute anywhere, because if you're out there and like you're giving contribution towards like uh towards their society, but you also give good names towards Indonesia itself in a sense. So yeah, it's very um sad that there's not a lot of like Indonesia diaspora out there that gives more um yeah, more good news compared to like other cities in like China and India. That's everywhere. So I guess my key points is you can contribute anywhere, you can but make sure it's like the right contribution.
Thank you, Ms. Angie, for sharing your perspective for this. Now let's move to Mr. Youngji.
Jessica, can you briefly mention your question once again? There was a disconnection for Zoom for me, so I couldn't hear your question before.
Um, I actually have three questions, but one of them is answered, so I think I'm just gonna ask the third one. It's about the fact that boot camps and leadership programs are valuable, of course, and it's meaningful, it's good, but oftentimes they fail to reach like rural areas. So and then even youth, they try to make that happen, but sometimes they lack of they have limited funding and then access barriers. So how do you think we should be able to reach youth in rural areas to be able to participate in these activities or these leadership programs, knowing that they lack of these logistical constraints and financial. And then I also asked about how can governments address the growing perceptions among young people that their talents and ideas in their own countries are undervalued or not heard domestically. And then it leads to them seek opportunities in other countries instead and abroad. So they make contributions instead of their own countries, but in abroad. Something like that. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's very difficult and tough kind of thing. Like for each government, it's very difficult to deal with it because I believe in it. The question you just mentioned is very different from country to country. For example, in Korea, in Japan, where the aging society is severe, we don't have young people. We don't have young people in rural areas anymore. Like average in rural area population, there are over 60s in Korea or Japan, and we are now, population is going down. But I heard that in Indonesia, Indonesia is one of, the fourth largest population in the world, and, huge youth population in rural areas. So I think it will be quite tough mission for Indonesian government. Um, of course, I don't have a clear answer for it, and I don't have a good experience regarding this question. But one thing I can share based on my experience is that for government and for international organizations, uh, we always think of efficiency. So it is better to organize some like youth programs in metropolitan areas, in capital cities. It's always better efficient. We can have more students with like a smaller budget and expenses. So a lot of opportunities are just giving to those students and young people near metropolitan cities and capital areas. It's happening everywhere. But after I became the director of Asia Pacific in Korea, in Usuna, I try to travel a lot to rural areas and like mountainous areas, islands, different areas to meet students and meet education chiefs in different regions. And it was very, it was not cost efficiency. It was, it requires a lot of time for me. My wife was not like me to travel a lot, but it was very helpful for me to, meeting those young people who are thirsty about those opportunities and those, uh, before those opportunities, they didn't imagine or dreamed to, having different, adventures for their own futures. So I believe the starting point can be like, firing on the small candle. Uh, Small candles does not make, the whole, living room bright, but starting to, put the fire on small candles. People can see where is the, button for the rights, where is the other kind of opportunities, and one by one, they can be part of the mission itself to be together. So yeah, I believe I cannot suggest like a core idea for the future, but I believe small kind of action of sharing the vision and sharing the opportunity can be the starting point to make a bigger change. And for that, government, public or institutions, local leaders, international organizations can cooperate together. So, for international organizations, they cannot do that by themselves. Government cannot do that by themselves. But if young people, young leaders like you guys in local rural areas, like suggest, uh, we wish to have this kind of opportunity. We would like to invite. Let's make a small step together, then it can be like a 30. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Yongji, for sharing once again your perspective. So, because we have a very limited time here, I don't think we can continue doing the Q&A session. If some of the participants want to ask questions personally to the panelists, is it okay with you guys?
Sure, sure. Never mind.
Okay, so yeah, I think we can conclude this Q&A session right now. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for sharing the insights, the perspective about youth, about how we can contribute and everything. Okay, so uh, as a token of appreciation, we'd like to present a small gift for the panelists. So may I kindly ask the operations team to help us document this moment? Okay. So this is a token of appreciation for Mr. Youngjae Kim. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Youngjae. I would like you to take a pose so that we can take a picture. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Youngjae. Now, let's move to Miss Gita. Here's a token appreciation for you. Thank you so much for sharing today in our event. So let's take a picture. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Gita. And now, move to Miss Angi. Okay, here's the token appreciation for you. And thank you so much for sharing once again. And let's take a pose. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. And with that, we conclude our international talk show. I hope today's discussion has given us new perspective on how youth can lead sustainable communities, from the local level all of the way to the global governance. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and see you in the next session. Now, as the moderator of this international talk show, I would like to hand the session back to our MC, Brian. The time is yours.
Thank you, Amara, and thank you so much for amazing speakers that's sharing their respective feel on how youth can be improved and how youth can be including in all aspects, such as decision making. Well, it's really amazing to sing that, and maybe like for the operator, yes. Okay, so it's not just the speaker that we have documentation, but all of us in here will have documentation. So please, for all participants, if you guys can on cam, please on cam because we want to see your face and why you don't want like to be on the documentation. So like please, please, please on cam guys, so we can see your face in this documentation. I will give you 30 seconds to preparing yourself and maybe that we want to preparing and settling your first. So please just I give you 30 seconds for now. Okay, I think I already think like almost everyone is already on cam. Wow, thank you so much for your appreciation, guys. So now, the documentation, how many slides do we have in here? Do we already have only one slide or two slides for documentation? One or two slide, guys? Is it one slide or two slides? Since we have 140 participants, three slides. Okay, so we are going to starting to having documentation for the first slide. So I will counting from 3 to 1. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Do the documentation team got it? Okay, so the next pose, 3, 2, 1. And last pose for the first slide, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to continue to our second slide. Please follow the competition team for the second slide. Okay. Yes. Okay. I will be counting from 3 to 1. So 3, 2, 1. Yes. Now your pose. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And last pose. 3, 2, 1. And of course, I'm so sorry guys for the last slide because we want to including everyone. So for the third slide, please for the competition team, the third slide. Okay, I'm going to counting. 3, 2, 1. Yay. Second pose. 3, 2, 1. And last pose. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much for everyone and for the competition team. Now, we're going to fill the attendance form. Okay, guys, so I'm going to mentioning that we're going to having two attendance form. Please fill these two attendance form, guys, because that if you're not fill the form, you will not get the A certificate. So please make sure that you are fill the form, and I'll give you 1 to 2 minutes to fill this form. So please fill the form. Thank you. We're going to fill the form until 10:50. So please make sure that you are guys filling the form until 10:50. But in case that you have any problem, just please giving a chat on the Zoom so we know who's person that have a trouble in filling the form. Thank you. For anyone that's already filling the form, please give your best thumbs up so I know who's in here that already filled the form, so who's not, and try to really including everyone. So giving the time for everyone. So please give your best thumbs up, guys, if you already filled the form. Yay. Okay. Yes, we're going to waiting until 10:50. So yeah. I'm not seeing any comments on here, so it's supposed to be like everyone. So it's supposed to be like everyone is already filling the form. Sorry, Shirley. Okay, so you can see on the share screen, it was the link, the barcode to the form. Or maybe the committee can sharing the screenshots of this slide into the group of the participant so they can get it. Okay. So the committee can, okay, no problem, Shirley. Thank you so much. So because that it's already been like 10:50, guys. So I will be quite a little bit like wrap it up. So this session I actually have the script, but I really want to elaborate more. It's really super interesting to learning from three different speakers from the different sectors. Like we have the speaker from the United Nations, we have speakers from the private sectors, and from the government itself. Like how these both three sectors is sharing their thoughts and how their sectors engaging with youth, not just as tokenism, but really participating them in the decision making and in the and not just as consumers but as the producers itself. So it's really nice, like how we explore young people can move participation to strategic agency through leadership, critical thinking, meaningful engagement, and institutional navigation. And since that we have international speakers, so we're not just talking about local sectors, but talking about global perspective, but with the sense of grassroots experiences and showing practical ways youth initiative can align with national priorities and international framework like we know SDG Sustainable Development Goals. So in short, the session gave us a common lens and the momentum to dive into a deeper solution-oriented discussion grounded into evidence, collaborations, and a clear focus on impact. Now, we move on to the Insight Talk from the data to actions, youth leadership in practice. This session focuses on practice, how data and research can be translated into action that are relevant to communities. And I will give this floor to my colleagues, the MC Natasha. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for summarizing the key points from the international talk show and for guiding us through the last segments. Now we move to the inside talk, which is from data to actions, youth leadership in practice. So this session focuses on practice, which is how data and research can be translated into actions that are relevant to communities. So did you guys know that many valuable research findings often remain on paper and never reach to the communities that need them the most? Well, no, well, don't worry, because today's speaker will show us how youth leadership can close that gap, turning insights into meaningful actions for communities. But before that, please welcome Alfrian Bagas Aji Darmawan, or Alba, an undergraduate student at Taylor's University's top 40 youth advocate for the UN SDGs in the Asia Pacific region, and McKinsey and Company Forward Program alumnus, as the moderator for today's sessions. Kaalba, the floor is yours.
Thank you once again to our MC. Hello, everyone. My name is Alfrian Bagas Aji Darmawan. You guys can call me Alba, and I'll be guiding us through this Insight Talk session. And today's theme is From Data to Action, Youth Leadership in Practice. This session is designed as an applied learning space where we explore how data, research, and lived realities can be transformed into informed, resilient, and impactful initiatives that is led by young people. We are very fortunate today to have with us Shirabe Mercado. Shirabe is a biotechnology engineer, ecofeminist, and global activist with a strong focus on sustainability, science-based solutions, and inclusive development. Her perspective beautifully integrates scientific reasoning with social justice, showing us how interdisciplinary approaches can strengthen youth-led responses to environmental and community challenges. Shirabe will be presenting her insights through a presentation, so let's give her a warm welcome. Shirabe, the floor is yours. Please take us through your presentation.
Hi, thank you so much for the platform. Thank you for organizing this. I think this is really amazing space, and I'm really happy to meet everyone. I hope that in the future we may encounter between each other. But yeah, I'm from Mexico, so it's quite late here, but I'm really happy and really excited to be in the same space, not maybe in the same place, but time space. Here we are all together, right? So yeah, just to start right off, I'm gonna be talking about science, ecofeminism, and who gets to shape the future. Here, I want everyone, and this is not from like your teacher, this is not from like a professor or from like an adult perspective, but from like literally youth to youth, to question, to ask, to be, and to stay really curious throughout the presentation. So I invite you to stay curious and to engage. I love everything that could be in the chat. Engage, ask. Maybe we will. Yeah, of course we will have the Q&A at the end. But yeah, um, starting off with the World Economic Forum risks that were identified in 2026. Now, from 2024 to this year, the World Economic Forum has identified misinformation and disinformation, which you can find it here in purple, as one of the top global risks to humanity in the short term. So we're living basically in a world where false solutions, false narratives spread faster than peer-reviewed evidence defending truth that becomes a political act. And when we talk about climate change, the cost of misinformation is measured not just in confusion, but in lives. It's measured in territories and it's measured in futures that we lost. Um, we're already living in approximately 1.2 Celsius degrees of warming. Every fraction of degree matters, and every delay deepens inequality. So the question here is not whether science matters. The question is who gets to use the science, who gets to interpret it, and who gets to benefit from the decisions that the science informs. And today, that's why I want to speak about science not as the abstract body of knowledge, not as the equations, not as the numbers and facts only, but as power, as responsibility, and as a tool that youth can wield to build credible, ethical, and transformative change. So, who I am, and well, this is the power in science, of course. Who I am, I come from a background in biotechnology. I am a biotechnology engineer. My training taught me to value data, experimentation, innovation, you know, the scientific method, of course. But very early on, like 7 years ago, like when I was 18, 17 years old, I realized that scientific knowledge is not neutral. Scientific knowledge is produced within systems shaped by patriarchy, colonialism, capitalism, and racial hierarchies. So, what does this mean? Who funds research, whose problems are prioritized, and whose knowledge is considered valid are the deeply political questions. Science is political. So, as a woman in STEM and climate advocate, I learned that if I wanted science to serve communities, not just the markets or not just some needs, I had to step beyond the laboratory. I had to step beyond my lab. I had to enter policy spaces. I had to engage in advocacy. I had to translate technical knowledge into public action because science alone does not change the world. Science, in the hands of organized, informed, and mobilized communities, does. So, science here is power. Let's be really, really clear and simple as that. Science equals power. Science gives us the evidence we need to push for climate action is not just passion, it's the proof, it's literally evidence. When we walk into negotiation rooms, whether at COP, whether national parliaments or local councils, we walk in with the best available science from IPCC, from UNEP, from UN bodies or the WMO, and the science forces the decision makers to listen. So scientific reasoning gives youth-led initiatives legitimacy, durability, and strategic clarity. Evidence transforms that passion that we have into policy. Data turns moral urgency into undeniable demands. So when we rely on the best available science, such as, like what we already see in climate change, we're not just citing reports and citing long, long documents. We're grounding the activism in globally recognized evidence base. We move from just saying this feels unjust to this is scientifically documented, this has already been proven, and this is measurable harm. These are the statistics, these are the facts. It's just not my opinion, right? So scientific literacy allows youth initiatives to design measurable and sustainable projects, avoid greenwashing and false solutions, set targets aligned with 1.5 pathways, yes, here, and build credibility in negotiation rooms and institutional spaces. And I put some QR codes because we love learning here. We love a constant like report base. So we have the State of Global Climate from 2024 and the sixth assessment report from the IPCC here. If you want to scan those, you can do to give them a quick read. But yeah, for example, the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is the ultimate biggest body for science on climate, um, gives us the clear messages. Code red for humanity is 1.5 degrees Celsius. That could be reached by 2030, and we are already in 1.2. Risks are increasing even with 1.5 Celsius warming. My country, Mexico, is 3 times more vulnerable and 3 times more probable to get to that warm and to get to those degrees Celsius. For example, adaptation is urgent. Mitigation options are still available. We have the solutions. So when we speak the language of data, scenarios, mitigation pathways, adaptation limits, all of the decision makers are forced to listen differently. Science, and this is something really important, science do not replace our stories. Our stories, the ones that every single one of you have to tell, are unique. These stories are strengthened by the science. So, what about translating science into community action? Knowledge that stays in reports does not transform realities. The power relies in translation. If I just tell you the data, if I just tell you and show you the graphs, it's not going to change anything. We have already seen this since the 80s, since the 70s. And I don't even know what this graph is about. I don't know what these satellite images are about, right? Um, so we play that critical role that bridges scientific knowledge and live experiences. What does translating science means? Means connecting global findings to local realities. It means explaining what that 1.5 degrees Celsius means for farmers facing drought, for coastal communities facing displacement, for children developing asthma because of the pollution in the air in their neighborhoods, because of the heat waves, because of the health that we have in risk, because of your studies and how you have lived climate change, by instance. It also means turning evidence into actionable policy demands. For example, and I don't know if we have here. Okay, yes. And this is something, for example, another example, this is from my country. Uh, if I don't explain to you what you see in these images, it's not going to get to you, it's not going to inspire you, it's not going to motivate you. You're only seeing here a map and some images um, uh, of um, of heavy water. I forget the word in English. It's not my native language as well, but yeah, flood. Sorry, a flood. But if I tell you, if I could explain to you, if I can translate that this is the image of the first community ever being documented in my country, in Mexico, of climate displacement. Why climate displacement? Because here you saw the peninsula, the little coastal community, being literally flooded in less than 20 years. And because their homes, their communities, their entire, no, like their entire, and their literally communities, homes, places of work are gone, they have to move. How do you move an entire community? How do you reubicate and how do you give them a better life if the only thing that they knew were about fishing, for example. So yeah, it's about translating. So what does turning evidence into actionable policy demands means? Examples as if science shows adaptation limits are being reached, we demand escalated adaptation finance. If emission pathways show that fossil fuels must decline rapidly, that fossil fuels are the literally cause, we must push for just transition frameworks. If loss and damage is scientifically documented as irreversible, we advocate for accountability and compensation mechanisms. So I also use the 3 I's framework, and this is something that we work in the science working group in Yongo too. 3 I's. First, inform. Inform with data. Anchor that message, anchor that fact that recognize science. So, according to IPCC assessment report or AR6, which seems like AR6 for me is like Star Wars C3PO or R2D2 always, but yeah, it's like IPCC AR6. Second, inspire with stories. Connect global findings to local realities. This means, for example, according to IPCC AR6, blah, 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 we're already reaching alarming levels. This means that community like mine face irreversible losses. And third, integrate into policy demands. Propose the solutions. It's not only about demanding, but also proposing. What do we want? How do we want it? We urge parties to deliver new adaptation finance targets by 2025, and we want this quantity of money and this quantity of support, and we want this quantity of participation. So science is our tool, but translation is the superpower. How do we get there? And for the second part of this talk, yeah, we have science, yeah, we have data, yeah, we already know how to translate it, but let's talk about balancing technological innovation with ethics and social responsibility. We are literally living in the area of extraordinary technological acceleration. AI was just not was nothing like 5 years ago, and right now AI is everything. For example, genetic engineering, microbial consortia, artificial engineering. All of these innovations offer real hope, but it also offers real risks and challenges. Efficiency and urgency often drive these types of innovations. In some cases, such as, for example, amphibians threatened by disease and habitat loss, genetic rescue may be the only path to survival, right? But here is a crucial question. Just because we can, do it mean we should? Does it mean we should? Just because I can create this digital technological tool, does that mean that I should push for it? So the philosophy of technology teaches us that technology is never just a tool. It is a sociocultural phenomenon, and it carries values. It shapes relationships. It concentrates power, or it redistributes it. So who controls the patents? Who bears the risks? Who benefits from the deployment of this science, of this technology? In my field, in biotechnology, I have seen how innovations can serve communities or serve only the markets and some wealthy, really rich people. How it can restore an ecosystem or deepen destruction of our earth. So how it can include voices, and how can it silence the voices at the same time? How do we have a cell phone, internet connection, but do we all have a cell phone? Do we all have internet connection? Who are the ones that do not have these tools? Who are the ones that are not benefiting from these specific tools? And from our phones, from the lithium, where does that raw resource comes from? Does that resource comes from um, modern slavery, from extractivism? We have to start questioning all of these. So this is why ethics cannot be an afterthought. It must be the foundation of technology of science. Responsible innovation means ensuring solutions are inclusive and co-created with affected communities, recognizing the damage. Prevention is always better than remediation. Obviously, you will think best on preventing that this is not going to damage or this is not going to harm the communities that have been harmed the most, rather than remediate it afterwards just for profit. Accepting the responsibility with harm when harm occurs and mobilize to reverse it. And this is the most important one, asking if this solution or reinforce existing, okay, is this solution with challenge will solve, or does this solution will reinforce existing power structures that continue to harm communities, that continue to oppress and violate the communities that we are trying to save or that we are trying to ourselves save ourselves, right? So we must not fall into the trap of thinking we can pollute everything and simply fix it later. That is the logic of the same systems that creates the crisis. Oh, I will just like use the plastic and clean it off later. Doesn't matter. Little smalls, little actions and bigger actions, etc., etc. We need a different logic, a logic that would be founded in care, in precaution, in justice. So science without ethics risks reinforcing the same extractive systems that caused the crisis. And lastly, I would like to talk a little bit about ecofeminism. Ecofeminism for me has been a really big deal breaker and life changing. Why? Ecofeminism for me is not only feminist for the girlies or only eco for the environmentalists. It's a lens for systemic transformation. To truly understand environmental sustainability, to truly understand the foundational structures of power, we must examine it. We must question it. What's under there? Not only the superficial problems, but what is under the problems? What are the structures that have continued the cycle over and over and over again? Why does planting uh, 1,000 trees is not working and hasn't worked for several and maybe decades, several years or decades? Why is this not enough? What could be enough? So this is where ecofeminism becomes essential. It connects the exploitation of nature with the oppression of women and marginalized communities. It argues that the same patriarchal, colonial, and capitalist logic that treats land as a resource to dominate also treats certain bodies as expendable or not necessary or an object. So climate change does not affect everyone equally. Indigenous people, racialized communities, women, youth, we are disproportionately impacted despite despite contributed the least to emissions. In some regions, communities um, are significantly more likely to suffer illnesses due to pollution. So ecofeminism is not just about connecting women to nature, as I mentioned. It is the philosophy that reveals how patriarchy, colonialism, and capitalism have operated under the same logic. Logic of domination, logic of who's better, logic of who's stronger. And that doesn't work and will never work. If we want to get to the solutions, to the real solutions where people are at the center, we must get like only just the wealthiest, the most powerful people out from that center and from that top of the mountain and that top of the pyramid. So it's basically understanding that the same system that subordinates women subordinates nature, that colonized peoples exploited their land, that same system that extract resources extracts bodies. So it challenges the myth of neutrality and in science and the glorification of endless productivity and the separation between human and nature. So I mentioned science is not neutral, science is not only facts. So it's basically about that. Everything is intersectional. Climate intersects with racism, with colonialism, with economic inequality and patriarchy. So that's why our solutions must be representative, which means centering voices historically marginalized, transformative, addressing root causes, not just symptoms. As I mentioned, it will not matter ever if we plant thousands of trees if we don't get to know about who is killing the trees in the first instance, who is putting the fires on the thousands of hectares of forests, um, who is warming and who is contributing to our uh, to the destruction of our earth, right? So there is not climate justice without gender justice, without social justice. There is no environmental sustainability. There is no solutions, social solutions, political solutions, economical solutions without social equity, without intersectional solutions and transformative systematic perspectives. So, yeah. Um, so, what does this mean for us, especially for youth? And this is the action points that I wanted to talk about. It means that we cannot afford to stay in silos that we alone cannot do. As a woman passionate about STEM, I realized that loving science also meant engaging with politics. And engaging in politics requires scientific literacy. We must move between laboratories, between legislatures, between data models, and community assemblies. We must get multidisciplinary. We must get transdisciplinary. Like it's just not data and that's it. It's not just not policies and that's it. It needs to intersect. They need to come together. So as youth, you are and we are uniquely positioned to question dominant narratives and misinformation, to build alliances across disciplines, to strengthen our community capacities through education, through tools, through information, document and replicate successful local practices, learn from them, share them, voice them, amplify marginalized voices. So basically, activism. What's activism for me? Whenever people or other youth ask me, how can I be activist or how can I start? And it begins all with empathy. If you, whenever you see the news, and whenever you hear about the stories, you feel discomfort, you feel anger, you feel frustration, you feel sadness, that's the first thing. Empathy, mere empathy. When you see the injustice, you feel compelled to act, but it becomes transformative when it is informed, when it is organized, and when it is, most importantly, collective. No soy yo, somos nosotros. It's not me, it's us. It is not about individual heroism, it's about networks, it's about solidarity, it's about shared responsibility. Here are my calls to action to you, concrete steps to make your advocacy more science informed, more ethical, and more just. For individuals, just stay informed, follow organizations, question everything. For example, greenwashing, please question what do you buy from all of these like brands that exploit, that destroy our communities. Think about that from the individual side. Um, Build community, surround yourself with people who challenge and support you, share information, opportunities, and resources for organization and networks, strengthen capacities, provide training and tools for others to identify, to analyze, and to address the problems, document and share experiences, use your platform to elevate those who are systematically silenced. And what's the message to all of us? Recognize that all actions generate impact. Your actions matter. Small, medium, large. Be intentional with your actions. Embrace the multidisciplinary collaboration. Science needs art. Art needs science. Science needs political advocacy. Political advocacy needs art. Everything needs everything. Policy needs storytelling. Technology needs ethics. Justice needs all of us. With community. Resist alone. Learn together. Teach as you learn, take space when needed, and make space for others. Take the microphone, voice your opinions, voice your stories, make yourself be heard, and also pass that microphone to others, pass that platform to others, so that they can also be heard. So, the climate is changing. Are you? My final message to everyone here is may we build science that protects her, not exploits her. And may we do it together. And I like the background because, and I have a few minutes. It's literally the um, water is the droplets, is the little drops of water, because we may feel like everything is bigger than us. We are not presidents, we're not global leaders, we're not authorities, we're not the adults, but remember this. Even if we're just drops of water, whenever we're more and more drops of water, we may be a river, we may be a lake, we may be the ocean, because the ocean, the river, the lake are nothing without every single drop of water. So whenever we come together, we have that power. And um, with that, I thank you so much. If you want to follow, if you want to like message me, I would be really open. I like to hear and I like to talk with anybody that like approached me. So I hope that this was beneficial to you, and I would love to for you to choose and encounter whatever like makes you passionate and whatever you want to um, do in the world and whatever impact you want to leave in this earth. So yeah, thank you for inviting me also to the forum.
Thank you so much, Rabe, for that inspiring presentation. You know, what stood out to me is how you emphasize the balance between innovation, ethics, and advocacy, something that is often overlooked but crucial for sustainable development. Now, I would like to open up a short dialogue to dive deeper into some of the points that you raised. So, from your experience, how can young leaders translate data and research into practical action that truly responds to community needs?
So yeah, basically, I think it's about literally understanding the facts. Whatever fact, whatever data you use, please don't use it if you don't understand it. You have to understand the science of it. It doesn't have to be really technical. If I understand why 1.5 degrees Celsius is alarming, then you can explain why has it been alarming to your community. So I would just like first of all understand the science behind it, integrate it with your story, with what you have seen, what you have also researched on with other communities, other testimonies um, from your local area, and just connect it. It's literally just about that, in connected, and try to be really a storyteller. I think every scientist, every lab like professional, every STEM professional has many things to learn from storytellers, from communication um, strategies. So the stories are really important. How you build it, and you can use the science to emphasize it. It's just that emphasizing it.
Really interesting. And what if when policy intent doesn't always align with real world constraints? What does resilience look like in the practice of youth?
And that's a really good question too, because that's happening right now. In the world. We're seeing that right in the world right now. And I want to also like connect this with a personal story. So I went to COP30 from the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework for Climate Change. Um, and I asked one of the IPCC vice chairs, like, what do you think and what is your opinion of science being discussed and science being like, do we believe it or we don't believe it? Is just and for one to think about why is science not being followed, or why is skepticism and climate denial, why is denial a thing right now, right? Why are we not progressing, but why are we regressing from the data that has been there for ages, right? Scientists are not, and this is something that was in the IPCC report, scientists are not just talking about it, they are screaming to the decision makers about it. So I think resilience, as you mentioned, it is really important. Many times decision makers will close their eyes and cover their ears about science and facts, but it's important that we always push for it, always push the graphs, always push the evidence. Like this is not something, some numbers, random numbers that I am telling you about. This is the random numbers that come from a really robust and really large like evidence process, right? research process. So it's explaining it, it's also visibilizing it. So whenever decision makers are covering themselves up, you have to make them public so that others pressure on them too. So whenever people from local communities are demanding, okay, I'm feeling more heat or I'm literally living without water, you can help them as well. Like, this is why you're not with water, right? This is why you're living in heat waves. Um, XYZ reasons with the data that has been backed up. So yeah, I think the resilience behind, like, the frustration of people not listening to you is just like keep on pushing, and most importantly keep on getting more people to your like to the good side. So yeah.
Final question from me. What kind of core competencies should young leaders prioritize so that their leadership is not only impactful today, but also sustainable across different sectors in the long run?
Definitely collaboration, teamwork skills, soft skills regarding everything that could like go around collaboration and teamwork, community sense. It's so important, and it will make it sustainable enough. As I mentioned, nothing is done. Whether you're the best scientist, whether you have the best grades, but whether you are the best in everything, it will mean nothing if you don't have people that could, one, cover you up and support you, and two, that could work with you. No matter what, we don't have, like, as individuals, we don't have enough capacity to solve the problems that we're facing today. They are just really big. But whenever we are more and more, those problems get smaller and smaller and more approachable. So I would say, like, yeah, community and collaboration skills, and with that obviously come like the like, yeah, skills, assertive communication, project management. Whenever you have teamwork, you automatically go into those skills that are fundamental as well.
Thank you so much. That was really insightful. Now let's hear from our participants. This is your chance to ask questions directly to Sharabe. Please raise your hand, keep your question concise, and we'll make sure as many voices as possible are heard. Okay. Whoa, so many. Okay, maybe Moralia can ask her question.
Okay, Kak. Thank you for the time and opportunity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Asha. I would like to apologize in advance as I am unable to turn on my camera. I hope this does not in any way reduce my respect for the speakers and everyone present in this space. I would like to raise a reflective questions for you, Mrs. Sarabe. Can okay, wait. Um, wait. The questions if evidence turns passions into policy, how do we ensure that women, indigenous knowledge system, and you lead data are not dismissed as unscientific with dominant scientific institution? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the question. That is so important. I am so happy that you asked that. This is something that not many, like, mm, mm, traditional scientists talk about, because as I mentioned, intersectionality is important. Questioning science and where does it come from is important as well. We always see like scientists as these white men, all white men, like from Europe or from United States or from whatever, but we never see scientists that are women indigenous women that are scientists. So, and this is something that we also like. I just want to like citate and reference the global youth statement. So Jongo always does an annual global youth statement, and we worked on the science demands for climate, and we actually connected and we actually emphasized the importance between bridging indigenous and traditional knowledge to scientific traditionally like raw science, right? And this is important because sometimes traditional knowledge and indigenous knowledge is not seen in the same level of scientific knowledge, and because of colonial views, because inferior views to indigenous people as inferior people. But this is something that we have to keep on pushing, and this is a bridge, and this is a really big thing that we see today, for women from indigenous communities to be empowered enough to know that their knowledge millenary, because it's not just indigenous people's knowledge, is the knowledge that have existed for not decades but for hundreds, even for um, hundreds and hundreds of years. So why is that knowledge not important? Why is that knowledge not taking part of the conversations and not taking part of the reports or the decision making, right? So, and specifically from women from originally local communities is really important because they are at the front of their communities as most of the times prime caregivers. um, Women stay at the front line. So I think that specifically have this is a big problem that we still see today, and we still need to fight for. Um, but yeah, those are the reasons why it's important. I don't know if I answer if I answered the question. I hope so. But I would love to talk more about the topic. It's really really fundamental, and actually questions it goes into the question about who gets to tell the science and who gets to tell what science is important and what science is not, right? What science? Indigenous people's traditional knowledge is science, is important knowledge, and has to be taken into account for decision making processes as well.
Does that answer your question, Morelia? Okay, thank you. The next question can be from Leandra Vinci Ixon. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Shurabe, for the insightful presentation. I'm very interested in ecofeminism actually because that is my pursuit right now in university. So my question will be regarding that because I'm very curious. Because you already explained about how ethical and gender perspectives can be integrated into scientific agendas because they intersect with one another. My question is, in practice, have you ever encountered resistance when applying ecofeminist ideas in scientific spaces? And what does that resistance reveal about how deeply strained the power structures are in science? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question, and I'm so happy to hear that you're pursuing ecofeminism. Let's go. I really recommend this for everyone. It's not just like a political stance, but literally just the lens for absolutely everything. But yeah, answering your question, this is this is really interesting. Whenever we talk about science, whenever we talk about the questioning of the foundations of science, I think this is something in a conversation that has been um, like more and more popular. It's not like the popular that we want to achieve yet. It's not definitely to the point where it's recognized. The ecofeminism lens to science is not there because there's still a line that hasn't been like there's not like, for example, sorry, there's not the milestone that we haven't achieved yet, which is literally like skipping skepticism and the overall science denial. So whenever we pass the science denial, and I think ecofeminism can be a tool to that actually, because it questions it, and the foundations of our knowledge are questions. And normally, and from ages ago, the theories, the concepts, the methods are founded mainly from male white dominant perspectives, right? And because of that, the science that comes along with those foundations and those bases have not encountered and have not been like um, have not been beneficial or have not been centered across other vulnerable communities as youth, as women, as indigenous color communities, right? Because this has only been fundamented and based on white white all supremacy from like global north, right? I think this is something that scientists have been more open to. As I mentioned, I spoke with IPCC scientists on COP30 this November about these topics, and they are really keen to talk about it. They are open, which is a good sign. They are open. They don't know about the topic and they haven't explored it as much as is needed yet, but they are certainly open. IPCC editor and author reviews constantly try to prioritize youth, indigenous peoples, women, um, but as they want to prioritize their their open goals, their community is stuck within white people, within adults, and they cannot pass from that. Why are they not getting better numbers on their participations that they want, right? So those are still the questions. Like they're open, but why is not happening? So I think I could answer a little bit on that. But yeah, I would love to talk more about it if I can help you out. Leandra, there are really amazing examples from ecofeminists from Latin America. Would love to like, explore more on that.
Does that answer your question, Leandra?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Final question. So final question goes to Farabi Al-Jazairi.
Okay, thank you so much for talking about ecofeminism, and I think like most of people here, I found that ecofeminism is a very new concept for me, and I want to ask you this question that I've been wanting to ask a lot to anyone, is how men in a patriarchal system serve their contribution in any of ecofeminism movements, because I've seen a lot of feminism discussion goes around women and how a marginalized community being erased from their land, from their human rights, and I think this is also as reflection for me to contribute more to my society, especially for marginalized community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. I think this is really important, and this is a conversation that we have circulate and we have discussed. It's always so really important to open the dialogue. The things that I may answer definitely are not final. These are my personal opinions. And the thing about ecofeminism, like philosophy or like social movement ideologies, is that they are always in dialogue and they are always flexible and moving and changing, right? That is, I think, the magic of it. It's not like a scientific method that you have to follow step by step. But my opinion would be like, yeah, how can men be involved? And yeah, same discussion as in feminism. Like, what's the posture? What's the role of men here? Um, Men absolutely have a role in ecofeminism, not as spokespeople over it, but as accountable participants from patriarchal systems, transforming the same systems that bore harm both men and women. It's not only the women that get subordinated and that get oppressed, but this also violates the fundamental mm, the fundamental possibilities of men. Whenever uh, boys cannot cry, whenever boys cannot wear, dress, say, act as they want to. So yeah, it's transforming the same systems for everybody to be free of these stereotypes, of these oppressions, right? So yes, ecofeminism links patriarchy, extractivism, and environmental destruction. So it's just about examining how masculinity has been shaped by dominance, by control, or learned the entitlement of leadership, space, and voice. Whenever I said speak about your stories about yourselves, but also leave spaces to the rest. So, for example, I know that I have to take space because I know that my voice as a woman has been historically oppressed by the years. It's important for me to speak, for the women here to speak. If there were LGBTQ plus people here, obviously there has been some historic violence are marginalized through their stories as well, indigenous peoples as well. So it's just about knowing that you have to leave the leadership and the space and the voice whenever possible too. Um, I think one important thing that is not being said enough for men in these spaces is to practice emotional literacy and collective care. Men are also responsible to take care of each other. It's not symbolic, it's about and it's not about like theory or data or science, blah blah. It's also about emotional literacy, and I think this is for all, but mainly from men, from that patriarchal system that suppresses their emotions. Collective care is really important. So yeah, it's about supporting women, indigenous, queer leadership instead of like the vision of competing, um, call outs of sexist, about homophobic, about transphobic behavior in other men, about toxic masculinity, call it, act on it, challenge the extractivist and hyper competitive leadership styles, challenge individualism, challenge colonialism, neocolonialist perspectives, refuse tokenized spaces, advocate for gender policies, for sustainable policies, stand in solidarities. But yeah, in general, there are many ways to support, and there are many ways and roles that some can take, but those are some examples.
Thank you, Miss Shurabe.
Thank you everyone for the questions. Those are really good questions. Now, before we close, we'd like to present a token of appreciation to Shrabe for sharing her valuable insights with us today. May I kindly ask the operations team to help us document this moment? Okay. Is the operations on standby to take a photo? Okay. Photo taken 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much, Shirabe. And with that, we conclude our Inside Talk. I hope today's session has given us practical perspective on how youth can bridge data policy and live realities into meaningful action. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you in the next session. As the moderator of this Inside Talk, I would now like to hand the session back to our MC. The time is yours.
Thank you, Kalba, for guiding us towards the events. So that's all, guys, for the Inside Talk. And we're sorry if we couldn't select all of the participants to ask the questions because we do have the time constraints. And now let's proceed to our documentation sessions. So for the documentation sessions, is not only for the speaker, but also for the participants. We kindly invite all of the participants to turn on the camera for the photo documentations. For the documentation team, please stand by. And we will give you all of the participants 30 seconds to turn on your camera. Oh yes, and also while waiting, Miss Rabi has sent her contacts. So for all of the participants who was likely to connect further and ask questions, you guys can reach Miss Rabi. Okay, it seems that most of the participants have turned on the camera, and the operation team mentioned that there's 5 slides. So we're gonna move to the first slide first. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, for the second slide, 3, 2, 1. Don't forget to give your best pose. For the third slide, 3, 2, 1. And for the fourth slide, 3, 2, 1. And the last slide, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's all for the documentation session. So after the documentations, we request all of the participants to fill out the attendance form in order to receive the e-certificates. So do note that participants also have to fill in the previous attendance form, which is the international talk show. And the second attendance form is the Inside Talk Show. So it is required to fill in both the attendance form in order to receive the e-certificate. So thank you for your corporations. Let's make this session memorable. We will give you around 1 to 2 minutes to fill in the attendance. Okay, so please give thumbs up or reactions if you guys have filled in the attendance form so we can wait for you all and know how many of you that have or haven't filled in the attendance form. Okay, so I think most of you guys have filled in the attendance form, or if you guys have any trouble to fill in the attendance form, you can maybe take a screenshot of these QR codes or the links so you can fill in later when you guys have find the good signal. All right, so I hope you have filled in the attendance form. So now we will move to the break for lunch. So we do realize that this has been like a long sessions and we supposed to have like take a break. So please take this time to rest and return promptly at around like 12:55 p.m. So there's also important note that the next sessions is the breakout room sessions or the open room sessions. So this is more like a follow-up sessions for the selected participants. We will also use like the different Zoom link that has already been shared in the group. So it's not gonna be the inside talk or the international talk Zoom link. So make sure to join the correct link, which is like the new link, not the old link. So thank you everyone for the active participants and also the participants. It's very enthusiastic. We receive a huge amount of questions both from the international talk and also the inside talk. It's been a wonderful time to hear the different perspective from each persons. So this concludes our first sessions. We will now take a break for lunch and do note, okay, that the next sessions is gonna be around 12:45. So please join to the news Zoom link by 12:45. Enjoy your meal and take this time to recharge. We will be back after the break to continue with the next part of our program. See you all shortly.